I'm getting ready to go to church, but I wanted to pause first and record this video before we headed out. So it'll be quick, but just a couple things that's on my heart. I have been loving this tea. I don't know what it would be called. Little teacup, I'm not sure. But all you do is just like put it on top of your cup and you have tea. I love it for my loose leaf teas. It's so helpful. So I'm making some raspberry leaf tea and we will get into everything now. So my word of the year this year is nurture. And I wanted to be intentional about really applying that to all areas of my life, from nurturing myself and my mental health and taking care of my own needs, making sure they're met, to hitting different goals and making sure I'm nurturing the goals that God has given me as well, the people that are in my life. But the first thing that's at the top that I need to be nurturing is self. And this really started in 2022, where I recognized that there were some things I really needed to start to heal from and work on and just sit with and make sure that I'm at a good place. So it started then, but I wanted to continue it into this year. And I'm going to talk to you guys about some things I've started to do last year and then I'm continuing into this year to really nurture myself and take care of my emotional needs. One of the biggest things I had to start doing was identifying what was even coming up. Like, what is actually coming up for me? What am I feeling? Sometimes it's hard to put even language to it, and it's easy to be like, you know what, I don't feel well today. But I started to dig deeper and figure out why. So was it grief that was coming up, or was it like just feelings of like frustration? Was it feeling overwhelmed? What emotion is coming up in this very moment? Am I burned out? What is it? And that allows me to then transition into identifying what I actually need in that moment. When it comes to this area of identifying what my needs are, I had to do a lot of unlearning. Like, I had to shift the way in which I looked at a couple of things in my life. So when I thought of strength, I always thought of it from the lens of like carrying things and like this happened and I just kept going. And I feel like, you know, we fall into having this unhealthy perspective of the strong Black woman when we look at it from that lens. So for me, one way that I define strength is, how am I verbalizing the things that I need? How am I putting self first? How am I making sure that I'm good so that way I can give to other people when they need something from me or need my time or need my efforts or whatever the case is? One of the biggest things I did over the past year and that I am holding on to very strongly going into this new year is giving myself the permission to release things that are no longer serving me and that are not good for me. So 2021, I remember holding on tightly to my job, and I just felt God saying, step away. No, like, you need to let this go. And I was like, wait, no, I'm comfortable. This is comfortable. We are holding on to this. But I recognize that when you hold on to things longer than you are called to, then that is not good for your mental health. And it made me recognize that, you know, nothing, no level of comfort, no level of discomfort, whatever it is worth my mental health, my well-being, my physical health. So with that being said, I recognize the importance of letting go of things that are not good for me and giving myself permission to release. Everything is in your life for a season, and sometimes seasons end, and that's completely okay. So I've been able to give myself just peace in knowing that, you know what, that was a season. This is what I learned. This is what I took away from it, and that is okay. I also had to redefine what productivity means for me. So when it comes to being productive, I felt like I used to look at it as like checking things off of my to-do list. And if I didn't check it off, then I didn't have the most productive day. But now I had to kind of break this up a little bit in my mind. I had to look at it from the lens of like, okay, intentional rest has to be included in your productivity plan or your strategy for being your most productive self. You have to take moments to rest. You have to take days off. Like, all of that was just hard for me to do. Maybe it's not even a whole day I take off still. I'm working on this, but like creating space and opportunity to take care of myself throughout the day. So maybe I need to pause and take a quick walk. Maybe I need to take a 15-minute just like break and rest and take a nap. Like, I struggle, and I still struggle with this. Like, Saturdays just resting, like just taking a nap, because I'm thinking, oh, I could be getting this done, I could be getting this done, I could be doing this. And it's like, girl, no, like sit down, read a book. I just have to tell myself these things so I can create space for rest. And I also had to figure out the way that I am my most productive self. I felt like I had to shift from only working at home till now I work in like a co-working space, and I'm like, well, my productivity level has went from like here to here just from switching my environment. Okay, that's one way that helps me be more productive. And another strategy that I use is, instead of just putting things on my to-do list, I put in a allotted amount of time beside them. Like, okay, I'm gonna work on X for 2 hours. I'm gonna work on this for 2 hours. I'm gonna work on this for 30 minutes. So then that allows me to see how much time I'm actually like allotting to these tasks and how much time I have. Like if I have a 6-hour block to work, then I can't put 10 things on my list and each of them require an hour of work to get done. So, you know, like really just being real with myself throughout this journey has been helpful. The next one is creating space for joy in my life and allowing myself to just be present and sit in it. Sometimes it's hard to be present in the moment without thinking of future moments. Like you can be so happy and feel all the great emotions, but then your anxiety allows you to imagine something in the future and you're like, well, it's good now, but will it be good tomorrow or 2 weeks from now, or whatever the case is? Like you're kind of on edge, like waiting for something negative to happen. So we're releasing that. Like my strategy for releasing it is trying to be more present in the moments that I'm in. So being intentional there. And then when I say creating space for more joy in my life, I also mean doing activities that bring me joy. Last year I learned how much I love to travel, but not just, I've always known I like to travel, but last year I was intentional about kind of getting more into the wellness travel space and making sure that as I'm traveling, I'm doing things that are great for my mental health as well. And it's not like a busy travel experience, but for me, it's one that feels restful. Like maybe I do explore some, but maybe I do create space to go and sit by the pool and journal or just do things that I truly enjoy. And this was also sparked for me when I got my first partnership with a hotel, and I remember just the excitement, the joy I felt by being in a new city, staying in a new place, like really having like moments of intentional rest. And I was like, wow, like I'm doing so much for my wellness on this trip and I want to continue it. So throughout last year, I feel like we created little pockets of like day trips and overnight stays and just really being intentional about incorporating more wellness travel. So for me, traveling has been very healing, and that's one thing I noticed is helpful for me on this journey. And sometimes it doesn't look like travel. Maybe sometimes it looks like having peace by going on the balcony, reading a book, having a cup of tea. Like I'm just really trying to get back into the things that I need and doing more of those. So yeah, I wanted to sit down and record this video because this year I am so intentional about nurturing myself and nurturing my mental health, and I wanted to share it with you guys. These things really helped me to get back on a really good track. Like these are the things I kind of did throughout the course of last year, and I'll be taking these habits into 2023. I hope these things helped you a lot, and if it did, then definitely like this video, and I will see you guys next week in my next video. Bye guys.